For pickup people, the Isuzu Rodeo keeps things simple. It's straightforward, tough, affordable, and very practical. If that's all you think a vehicle of this kind should be, then it's worth a try. In an age when so many pickups are trying to be glorified car-like SUVs, it's rather refreshing to come across an honest-to-goodness, hard-working one. This Isuzu Rodeo. There are, it's true, more modern, comfortable and car-like pickups, but none that are tougher or better value. This is a truly global product, on sale in more than 130 countries, badged as a Holden in Australia and a Chevrolet in the US. Now, like other 4x4 pickups, it has the chrome bling, the double cab body and the muscular engine to function as a Ford Ranger, Toyota Hilux or Mitsubishi L200 4x4 leisure vehicle. But even then, it feels resolutely work-orientated. You wouldn't pose in this pickup, and that's exactly the way that loyal customers like it. I've driven pickups that claim to be more car-like. They still feel like pickups. This one has no such misapprehensions about its status. It feels like the truck that it is. But that doesn't mean that it can't also quite happily function on the school or supermarket run if you to join the merry throng on your way to or from work. You'll have to allow for the wide 12.2 metre turning circle though. Under the bonnet there's a choice of gruff, tough 4-cylinder turbo diesel engines, either a 2.5 litre 136 brake horsepower unit or a 3 litre 163 brake horsepower engine. That's the one that I've got here. For what it's worth, 60 from rest is 12.4 seconds away in the 2.5 litre version, or 10.3 seconds away if you go for this 3 litre. Top speed for both is 109 miles an hour. Now, four-wheel drive is standard unless you go for the entry-level single cab model. You'll be in two-wheel drive on the tarmac, but when things get mucky, you've the option to use Isuzu's shift on the fly buttons there on the top of the dash here to shift either into 4 high or 4 low. Off-piste, this Rodeo is pretty handy, thanks to ground clearance of 205mm that enables a 400mm wading depth, an approach angle of 34 degrees, and departure and ramp angles of 21 degrees. On tarmac, like most pickups, it handles better with a bit of weight in the back. But settle back into a more relaxing driving style and the behaviour is fine, with prodigious pulling power from low revs from both of the engines on offer, although they're hardly the most refined diesels of their kind. Still, you do get a lot of torque, 294 newton meters of pulling power from the 2.5 and 360 newton meters from this 3 litre, and that enables you to pull a brake trailer of up to 3,000 kilograms or an unbraked one of up to 750 kilograms. If you're using all of that grunt, you might also want to know that additionally this vehicle will also accept a digital tachograph. Despite its age, this Rodeo could pass for a much more modern design. Single cab variants are a bit Spartan, but double cab models like this one are as chrome spangled as potential buyers will be expecting. Otherwise, the emphasis is on tough durability. It's certainly big. This one's over 5 metres long, and the optional tow bar adds another 152mm on top of that out back. One nice touch for operators is that Isuzu has resisted the temptation to emboss its name in big letters on the outside face of the rear tailgate, which should make applying your company livery just that little bit easier. At the wheel, there's nothing especially cutting edge on show, but it all feels solidly constructed. Rather refreshingly, this isn't one of those pickups you jump into then feel awkward because you've got muddy boots. Height adjustment for the seat and reach adjustment for the wheel would have been nice, but otherwise it's pretty easy to get a comfortable driving position. Twist the ignition key and the instruments do a neat up and back, and there's a proper handbrake rather than one of those awful umbrella style arrangements that rival models have. Now, storage facilities include a lockable lidded glove box and narrow door pockets complete with cup holders in each of the doors. Plus there's an extra twin set of cup holders at the bottom of the dash for your morning coffee. At the rear, the seat backs are rather upright, which isn't ideal for longer journeys. But on this double cab model, you can at least fold back the seat rest for extra storage capacity. Excluding the dreaded VAT, list pricing for the basic two-wheel drive single cab workhorse version starts at around £12,000, but most customers will be wanting a double cab model like this one. Now, they start in 2.5 litre 136 brake horsepower form at between £15,000 and £16,000, depending on the spec that you choose. Better trimmed 3 litre 163 brake horsepower double cab models are priced in the £20,000 to £25,000 bracket, and there's the option at this level of an automatic gearbox for an extra £1,000. Now, that pricing puts this Isuzu very slightly above its most obvious rival, Mitsubishi's L200, but your local dealer can no doubt put that right. You'll certainly be saving yourself £1,000 or more on obvious rivals like Toyota's Hilux or Ford's Ranger. Now, whether you order your Rodeo with a 136 brake horsepower 2.5 litre diesel engine or this 163 brake horsepower 3 litre unit, it'll almost certainly come as a double cab. There is an entry-level single cab version, but it's a poverty spec and only has two-wheel drive. And unlike other pickups, this Isuzu doesn't come with a compromised super cab body with a pair of occasional rear seats. Still, all models do come decently equipped. They all have electric windows, central locking, tinted glass, a 12-volt power supply, and an MP3 compatible CD stereo with USB connectivity. Safety-wise, you can expect to find driver and passenger airbags and anti-lock brakes with brake force distribution. Right, down to business. Notebooks at the ready. Here's all the stuff you're going to need to know when it comes to deciding whether this Rodeo can cut the mustard as a day-to-day working business tool. Here at the business end, this particular vehicle has an optional covered top for the loading bay, and below it the tailgate folds down to horizontal level. But you can't fold it down any further because this rear bumper, which has a handy step, rather gets in the way. As with most pickups, there's quite a hefty loading height, in this case 686 millimetres, but once you get the stuff in, there's a decent load bay length of 1,380 millimetres in this double cab variant, a figure that rises to 2,270 millimetres if you go for the single cab. Whichever body style you choose, there's 1,525 millimetres of loading width, a figure that narrows to 1,020 millimetres between the wheel arches. There's 450 millimetres of loading height, and a payload, well, if payload is your real issue, it's better to choose the 3 litre version because the payload capacity rises in the double cab model from 1,060 kilograms to 1,075 kilograms, and it rises further if you're choosing a single cab Rodeo to 1,235 kilograms. Now, hefty stuff in particular you'll want to stop from moving about in transit, so the load lashing points will be useful. There are 4 dotted around the loading bay, and this particular one has an optional plastic load bay cover fitted, which seems well worth having. Operators can expect 34.9 miles to the gallon on the combined cycle for the 2.5 litre model, a figure that falls only slightly to 33.6 miles to the gallon if you go for this 3 litre version. There's a 16.7 gallon tank, so that should give you a decent operating range. Although in town, of course, those fuel consumption figures will fall by around 6 miles to the gallon. CO2 emissions are set at 213 grams per kilometre for the 2.5 and 222 grams per kilometre for the 3 litre, although that figure will fall, of course, still further. If you go for the automatic gearbox on the 3 litre, you'll then return 237 grams per kilometre. Service intervals are every 12,000 miles, and Isuzu provides a 3-year, 60,000 mile warranty with 3 years of British and European roadside assistance. As any skilled workman will tell you, tough, durable, properly developed tools are infinitely preferable to fancy, style-conscious, but ultimately brittle ones, which is why this Rodeo continues to command a small but loyal following in the UK. And though it's a workhorse first and foremost, It's also quite as imposing and in your face as you'll need it to be if you do want to slot it into the yacht club car park or slip in amongst the Range Rovers at your local gymkhana. It does the job, and at the end of the day, that's what matters.